I like winning these payment and performance disputes from Amazon Relay, and knowing how to do them is the only reason I've been able to keep my grade at 100% for over a year. All right, so before we begin, I mean, if you've worked for Amazon Relay and you didn't like them and you've written them off, this video is just gonna add fuel to your fire. It's gonna give you one more reason to not go work for them. I'm not here to disagree with you. I just, rather than sit there and, have something come up, I'd rather learn how to fight it, learn how to fix it, and move forward. There may come a time where, they do so much of this stuff where the juice just isn't worth the squeeze, and I may be done with them, but that time has yet to come for me, and, I'd rather focus on, how do we fix it, the steps to do, as opposed to just doing that. So just want to lead off with that. If I told you about this load, we're going to cover both payment and performance in this. This was a simple little one pick, one stop. Started down at Sand 3, supposed to end up in Poway up at DSD 8, and I was paying like $273 for the total thing. And, as far as, the evidence collection, now I've talked about screenshots on here before. We're going to kind of cover some of that same stuff. The way I see screenshots is you have 100%, this is my opinion, but I think you have 100% of the information you need to set yourself free on a payment or performance dispute. That gets sent to your phone at one time or the other. Now that may just show up on the screen for a second and a half, 2 seconds. It might stay on the screen. You may have to physically clear it. I like to get as many screenshots as I can because I'd rather have it and not need it than need it and not have it. So, but I will say I'm successful with these because I do take a lot of screenshots. Got down to Sand 3, get that arrival successfully detected. That checks 2 boxes. That one, that proves what time I got there. So if there's a long line of trucks and they don't get me checked in, well, I can prove what time I got there. Also, that proves that I'm using the app. Impossible to get that screen without using the app. The rest of the load kind of goes down as normal. I go into Sand 3, find my trailer, get it attached, exit the building, everything's going fine, start heading up to DSD 8. Now, as soon as I get up to DSD 8, I exit the little navigation screen, or fingers ready to go on that screen to get that arrival successfully detected up in Poway. And as soon as I exit navigation, rather than going arrival successfully detected, the screen kind of has a little hiccup for a minute and it goes to the blank screen of, I think it says, hello, Todd, you have no future loads assigned, because that was the one load I was working on at the moment. And I knew something was up right then and there. And, I immediately start thinking like, well, what's going on here? Why is the app shut down? So I get off of the app, I head over to the web, and I go to my trips, and there in my trips queue for the first time, I mean, they let me get all the way to Poway on this. For the first time, it says load is canceled, but under the VRID, it still says the amount. It still says the $273 despite being canceled. Now, I immediately start thinking, like, is Amazon going to start some shenanigans? I mean, did they promise me $273 and are now going to pay me a Tonu rate, $175? Did they just save $100 and having me get all the way there? I get a little bit, when you're going through this stuff, you're going to feel like, oh, here we go. And I've said in the past, and I'm going to say again, I average one of these loads a month, but I'm just thinking like, okay, here it is. This is the one. I'm due for one, and this is it. So I put a callback request into ROC. I walk up to the door at DSD 8, ring the bell to get in. The on-site personnel at DSD 8's like, oh my gosh, we really need this trailer. Questions for him. How are you going to check me in if my app says the load's canceled? And he's like, I can't check you in. And then about that time, ROC calls me back, and he starts making a note in there. Now, one thing, this is, back to the screenshot thing. Once I get the guy from ROC and he starts messing with it on his end, the $273 disappears, and now it just goes to there's no amount there, like zero. Not a Tonu paid, nothing. It just says, oh yeah, this load's canceled. So I've got DSD 8 saying, hey, we really need the trailer. I've got the guy from ROC saying, hey, yes, go ahead and leave the trailer. And I'm thinking at this point, like, you got me to do the work, and technically you're saying you owe me nothing for this. And kind of out of spite, I'm not going to lie, out of spite, it was like, you know what, if you can't check me in and you're going to pay me nothing, I want to take this trailer back to Sand 3. And, that was an emotional decision, not a rational decision, because two things. It would have just wasted more of my fuel, more of my time. And probably the most important thing was I had my son with me that night, and I told him, I'm like, after we drop off in Poway, we can stop by Santee, we'll get some Mary's Donuts. They're open 24 hours, and I can do that as a bobtail. I can't do that with truck and trailer. So I opted to leave the trailer there at Dock Door 118. Taking proof of life pictures of it, notes in the load notes in the on the load. The site's telling me to leave it. ROC's telling me to leave it, And I'm thinking, okay, I'm gonna leave it there, and I know for sure I'm gonna have a payment dispute in my future. So I close out my night, and I'm thinking, I'm pissed. I mean, you know, I know I've got enough pictures to win the payment dispute. I think I got home that morning, I work night, so I think I got home that morning around like 9:30 in the morning. I checked just one more time to see if anything else has been added. It hasn't, and I go to bed that day with the full knowledge, knowing that like I've got a payment dispute in my future, knowing that like I'm gonna have to let them pay me for it incorrectly, let that invoice come out, and then add an item to a payment dispute. So I sleep that day. I wake up probably about like 6, 7, and I wake up that night, you know, kind of getting going in my morning time, and I look at my phone, and I have a missed call from ROC at like 10:30 in the morning. It's like, why is ROC calling me? There's no reason. The ROC only calls you if you're on a load. There's no, and I had no loads scheduled, booked, in progress, nothing. Why is ROC calling me an hour after I went to bed? So I start digging through my phone. I go over, and I notice that they've added a new VRID. So this is where, if I never want to be accused of just saying the good of Amazon. I want to give you the real Amazon experience with this. I start looking at my trips, and I notice where there's a new VRID added that only has the fuel surcharge paid to me. And I'm thinking to myself like, oh, okay, the payment people are actually on the ball this time. They're going to pay me. They're putting a new VRID into my thing, because I don't think you can do a payment dispute on a canceled trip, but they know that the work was done, and they're putting this VRID in my queue to let me know that like, oh, this is the VRID you're gonna do the payment dispute on. This is where, I've said before, Amazon is so compartmentalized. It's like the left hand doesn't talk to the right hand. The payment people put that VRID into my trips as like, oh, this is how he'll do we'll give him a pathway to doing a payment dispute. But here's the thing. The performance people get a hold of that VRID, and they're like, well, wait a minute. He dropped off a trailer. He picked up a trailer. He dropped it off in Poway. He wasn't checked out. He wasn't checked in. Let's hit him for app usage.
Because when they go low, I go nasty.
And at this point, I'm seething. I'm just kind of like, you've got to be kidding me. So now, not only do I have a payment dispute in my future, I've got a performance dispute to do right then and there, because I don't wait. You know, Amazon changed it. A lot of people wait till Sundays to do their performance dispute. That's when everybody does it. That's when it hits the grade. You can do these disputes in real time. You can toggle that little thing to say like, preview my upcoming week grade. And I sit there and I do the payment dispute, or I'm sorry, I do the performance dispute right then and there. I'll have come up on the screen the exact verbiage I use. If you want to steal any of this as your own, by all means, it's yours. This is kind of the language I use to talk to them. I'm a big believer in less is best. I know, you know, I could have sent them 5, 6, 7 pictures of all the, you know, of here's my, you know, I did use the app. Of course I didn't work on this VRID. This VRID didn't show up in my queue until 8, 9 hours after the load was done. I was sleeping. So, I mean, obviously I didn't use the app on this new VRID you added, but on the VRID that I worked on, and I like to consolidate all my pictures into one. Knowing how to do this video editing stuff might put me in an advantage. I put everything into one picture, and I show that like, hey, here's the VRID that I did. Here's me checking in. I try to color code this stuff. I try to remove thinking from this. So, you know, they say a picture is worth 1,000 words. Rather than sending 5 pictures, I send one, and I try to get to the point. So in this one, I show that like, hey, on this VRID, I did check in. Here's the BOL, another thing that I wouldn't have if I weren't using the app, which you accused me of not using the app. And then I reference the case that was created and that proves that I dropped the trailer off at Dock Door 118, sent that performance dispute in. Within 24 hours, they had corrected my grade back up to 100%. So as I mentioned earlier, with the payment, unlike the performance disputes that you can do in real time, the payment disputes, you have to let them pay you incorrectly. It's just the way they set their system up, but I let the payment come out incorrectly, and I submit to them same kind of belief as like the performance disputes. I try to consolidate all my pictures down into one page. So I send them like the canceled VRID, the load notes from the canceled VRID, a reference number to the case from, and in this it says, you know, this was a staff member at DSD8 saying the trailer is currently at Dock Door 118 at our site. It's windy today. Sorry about that. You know, like basically proving, I'm gonna have to hold this thing up, proving that I had dropped off the trailer, that I had done my part, that I used the app, and then also I included in the 2 different VRIDs, the one that was canceled and the one that they added the $18.17 as like the fuel surcharge, and I was basically just requesting the remainder that I had initially booked the load for. So the 273 was the total amount that I wanted to be paid for this. Submitted this payment dispute, and also within 24 hours was paid correctly for the VRID. So I make videos like this to show you, I mean, you know, hey, I can show you my grade's been at 100% for over a year. There's no way, don't think that that just happened by happenstance. There's a lot of work involved in that. I probably have to do one of these performance disputes a month on something that Amazon gets wrong, and all I want to do here is kind of hit the point home. I mean, I don't make videos like this to kind of glom onto Amazon and be like, oh, they're terrible, they're terrible. No, if you know what you're doing and you know what screenshots to get and you know how to present that evidence to them, you can get them to correct their mistakes. And that's what I've been doing for a while now. I mean, when I first started, yeah, my grade wasn't 100% because I didn't understand their system yet. I don't want to claim to be an expert on this, but I mean, my grade being at over 100% or not over 100%, that's impossible. My grade being at 100% for over a year is the best evidence I can bring here. So I've talked about screenshots before. Definitely get them. You're bypassing a screen that you're like, oh, when am I ever going to need this again? I mean, I'm glad I have the trip showing canceled with the amount, then going to no amount. It's like, why did you change the amount? And I'm glad I have a screenshot of that. You know, it's one of those little things that I don't like that they do it, but you're in 100% control of the proof, the evidence that you collect over doing these loads. And unfortunately, you have to go into it with that mindset. If you go into it with the mindset of like, how I had when I started of like, oh, I did the right thing, things are gonna go my way, you're wrong. I was wrong, and that's a mistake that will be repeated until you correct it. And then, you know, as far as the compartmentalization of Amazon, you kind of have to view yourself as like the glue that causes these departments to kind of adhere to one another. I mean, you've got the performance people running, you know, going wild over here, and the payment people, and it would be great if those two people would communicate, but sometimes literally you have to take each of their hands and make them hold hands and be like, look, this is what the other side is doing and you're blaming me. Please look at, you know, like look within before you look at me. And so anyway, I make these videos so that, you know, hopefully you can be more prepared. If you're starting out, give you that mindset of screenshot, 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 and, you know, hopefully set you up for success if you plan to work for Amazon. I hope this video serves you well. Appreciate you for watching. Take care.